December 30th, 9:41 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 5. Good morning, Max. Yeah, usually I struggle with the psych locks. It was really cool that I didn't have to struggle so much this time. Oh, yeah, good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina. How fabulous, my sweetie pie princess. You came to watch me, my performance today. Of course I did. Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that? So what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you there, or I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to you. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? I know. One certain prosecutor can go very low, Mo. Top of the morning to you, Governor. Top of the morning. Well, that's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. Well, the early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my. Thanks. So, how are you today, right? Well, I've got a feeling that today I'm gonna face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line. Literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm already used to that. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today, we just rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Well, anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure that Regina watches? Yes, that's why I brought her to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. 10 a.m. District Courtroom, number 2.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Very well, Miss Von Karma. You may proceed with your case.
The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events.
What's the meaning of this?
We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly up from the scene of the crime.
Order! Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up.
Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor gumshoe.
Very well, please call your witness to the stand.
Time to get to work, or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Name and occupation. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I am employed as an acrobat at the Very Big Circus. Where were you the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night before the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. What I witnessed. It was just after 10 p.m., and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming.
This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown.
If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix, right? Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did.
Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony?
In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened.
Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
All right. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights outside the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep.
If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains?
I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains.
Sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers.
The witness will proceed with his testimony. Around that time, I heard a large thump. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. If you said that you were resting in bed. You said you were resting in bed. That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing acro doesn't seem to get results. Maybe something was contradictory in what he said just now. Sure, let's roll with it. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence.
She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence supporting your claim of a contradiction?
No, I do not. Oh no. Yeah, I got nothing.
A whole lot of nothing.
You just don't get it, do you, Mr. Phoenix? Right.
What don't I get?
You're not going to be able to get through this one with your usual bluff routine. Your client looks to be ready to take off once again. Straight towards a guilty verdict.
You were bluffing? I will not forgive any more mockeries made of my court. Whoops.
Witness, would you mind repeating your testimony? Certainly. Oh, I didn't even get punished. Awesome. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right outside my window.
Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin or a large action figure, anything really. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible.
You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix, right? Testify to the truth and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night.
I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. I wonder if Acro's statement jives with the facts. Nothing, Your Honor. Until I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. The light in your room was turned off then, right?
That's true. I was going to bed after all.
So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window?
The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front.
Did you see any of the other symbols?
I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I am convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica.
The more I press him, the less results I seem to get.
I got nothing.
When did you start thinking that what you saw wasn't a dream?
That's not important.
I believe that the prosecution has done a bit of maintenance on the witness's memory.
Just to make sure, let's ask the witness.
Objection.
Sustained.
Don't sustain that.
Acro must be lying about what he saw, right?
Of course he is. The challenge will be to expose his lies to the court.
Well, put the pedal to the metal, Nick.
This will be a tough one.
I mean, Mo said that too. And that. I feel like the only thing we can really do is try here, you know? Because our whole thing is that we're trying to prove that it's not Max, so I guess maybe we should try to find a way. So with the lights off, you were still able to see a human fly by the window. I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. There has to be something wrong with this. I'm like 80% sure. Oh, they are really not helping me at all with this either. Okay, so he said that he saw Max fly up with his hat and cloak, but couldn't see the roses. Wait, but we have the hat. You claim to have seen exactly the same thing that Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have found a silk hat on the scene of the crime. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has 2 silk hats?
No, this is handmade, one of a kind. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand.
Order.
Wait, so the only reason he would have thought that it was the... Oh, the only reason he would have possibly thought it was the ringmaster's hat is because he was wearing it. Because he borrowed Max's outfit. As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick?
Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today?
Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion?
Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of?
Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry.
Mr. Wright, are you serious?
Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at the audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book.
Really?
If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to be almost scary. He is staying rather calm and collected.
Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation?
I don't really need to say anything, do I?
What do you mean?
Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house.
That's true.
I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of murder. See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear this accusation is ludicrous. She's right. Way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head.
What?
See that, Mr. Phoenix, right? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game, Mr. Poopyhead. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice.
What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice?
I don't think so. Now then, this must be where we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Mon Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one.
What are you blabbing about, Mr. Wright?
There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself.
Order. What are you getting at?
Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm gonna have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix, right. If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right?
Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling?
Third floor? Right? I mean, he had to be in his wheelchair. Pretty simple, huh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can be only one answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts?
What did you say? What do you say, Mr. Dingling?
It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you proposed is impossible, yes, that's it.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
as the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer.
You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix, are right. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Mo said that he saw Max, didn't he? But man, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. Thanks for giving me the answer. That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... Gosh, I had a voice crack right there. That was interesting. She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster, and he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it.
Time to enlighten us on how he committed the crime.
Sure. I'm going to present some evidence.
So what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of murder?
Oh, that's clever. The reason he said that he saw the hat was because it was the hat that's literally part of the statue. And it is blunt force trauma to the back of the head, so basically he hit him with the bust. That was the murder weapon. There's no way! Oh my gosh!
What's that, a picture?
It is indeed. The problem is the item that's being shown inside of it.
The bust.
It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-sized, it's also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death, especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah. His demeanor changed. See, this is how Acro was able to kill the Ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Why did you phrase it that way?
Order, order! So you're saying that this ample bust fell onto the Ringmaster?
A rather simple crime. Even if you were struck in the wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to... Or even if you were stuck in the wheelchair, it would be easy to commit. Blah, 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 my dyslexia is hitting hard. How can you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like a bust.
Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges?
Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, 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 Acro. You can't run away from all the ha. I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix, right? What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself.
Testimony, you say?
On Karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall. There is absolutely no need for such a testimony. The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond.
The defense's objection is overruled.
Why can't he see things my way once in a while?
Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony.
The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him.
Thank you.
That woman'll sing to any low to win a case. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think?
I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony.
It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself out far enough to look. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries.
That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright?
I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Have you ever lifted up the bust before? No, I've never actually lifted it with my own two hands. But I should get to it, don't you think? I can't let money outdo me on this. Money? That crazy monkey has lifted Max's bust before?
Please continue with your testimony.
Just fully ignored. So, what have you been doing to keep in shape?
Well, honestly, I've given up on training. I don't have any plans to return to the trapeze or the tightrope.
You don't say.
But, no offense, I'm not worried about losing to you in a race or anything.
Neither am I, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I wouldn't lose either, Nick.
Whoa, how did the discussion turn to me all of a sudden? I suppose you could say that I'm stronger than the average, boar. However, lifting the bust and, looking out the window would have been impossible. And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't gotten much feeling back in my legs yet.
So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window?
There's no way I could have... exerted. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body.
Alright, let's press that too. How long do you think your recovery will take?
You have to remember that my nerves were severely damaged. I'm undergoing some extremely intensive rehabilitation, but it's still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%.
Let me remind you of another important point. If the witness was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see out below the window.
Why do you say it would be impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see below the window. Thus, there is no way I could have known the location of the ringmaster's head.
Well, I suppose you got a point. Hey, Nick?
Huh?
Well, what if you turn things around? Maybe if you think it's sort of like this. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust.
That does make sense, if only I could prove somehow. That Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking. I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Acro, you didn't really need to lean out the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew, ahead of time, where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add.
Your silly hintings at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence?
But I did such a good job hinting.
Yes, hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright.
Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunching over. The question is, who placed that wooden box there?
Who?
When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding a box, which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime.
I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense.
The moment that the bus came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up his wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear.
You mean...
If the bust were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box...
There'd be no way he could have missed.
No.
Order! This is unbelievable.
Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way from here, forward.
So the next question I have is who placed that wooden box at the scene?
It was Mr. Dingling, of course.
He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Allow me to whip some sense into you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. That's why the box was so specifically made. Specifically made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. Wait?
According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds.
Just to lift up this wooden box would have required...
Oh, I see. One would have to squat down, then lift it up with their body, wouldn't you say?
That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large.
The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it?
That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place. Fool! Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills.
Did you do it? Did you, place this wooden box in the plaza?
Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What?
Mr. Wright,
Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? I remember. It was in the kitchen.
then what happened to it?
I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. That means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright explained that. Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice. Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. Yeah, we definitely have a problem here, but this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen once and for all.
All right, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation.
I think I get it. Money the monkey was trained to collect heavy things. Because I was wondering why the hell there was a tuba in his room. He was training Money to be able to carry heavier and heavier things. He was literally working out his monkey to be able to lift the bust, and then hoping eventually he'd find it shiny enough that he'll pick it up.
A monkey?
Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size.
Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist ring.
So, are you saying that the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home.
Home?
Money lives in Acro's room.
Acro's room?
But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record.
Why, those are some very nice cards he's holding.
Yes, and they're made of platinum, which is very shiny. Acro. Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bust back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for a new roommate.
Order, order. I said order, Miss Von Karma. Where is the bust in question at this moment?
I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak.
This is a rather strange turn of events. Well, let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then?
Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bust was the murder weapon purely by accident?
It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer.
Moron!
Mr. Wright, your argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that.
Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney.
Fraud?
You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
And what is that?
You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright?
Nick, don't let her beat you now.
I won't. This is my chance to turn the trial around.
When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw?
The bust? He saw Max's butt.
I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question.
Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette, but he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being that he saw.
How is that possible?
It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust.
What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak.
There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to a bust. It would be easy enough to hang one off of the cards in the bust's hands.
Idiot, who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust?
It doesn't matter who did it.
Just a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree?
Ah, he caught me.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust?
That is a fantastic question, Your Honor. I don't know. I mean, the victim was wearing the cloak, so maybe at some point he took it off?
What a response. Fool, him?
You're saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry.
That's what I'm saying.
The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust.
Place the cloak isn't really the right way to put it.
Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself.
Nick, do you really have a handle on all this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyway. Alright, So you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust, dangled the bust out his bedroom window directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance to the lodging house by none other than the ventriloquist and his puppet Ben and Trillo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bust hit the victim,
You wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be.
it's still a little early to get so upset, Miss Von Karma. The circus isn't over yet.
What?
The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Mo Curls, the clown. When Mo looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Mo saw the bust being raised, with the cloak dangling on it, primarily because in his wheelchair he couldn't even see out his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how the magical murder disappearing into the sky came to be. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could only have been you.
Acro's been playing mind games with all of us.
He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now.
So,
What now?
you've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true?
Evidence?
In this court, only two things matter: the power of evidence and the power of my whip.
Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence?
Nick, they say they want evidence.
I just explained how there can only be one murder method. Ha, thank you very much. But there is still something unusual about Mo's eyewitness account.
Unusual.
A contradiction, actually.
Okay then, use that and get out of this jam. Thank you very much, then.
That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claim. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case.
Yeah, it's that the hat was in two places at once. The problem is that Max's three symbols, the silk hat, cloak, and white roses,
Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's, proceedings.
yesterday there were two contradictions in Mo's testimony.
The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other.
But the theory I just presented explains all of those contradictions. You fool, do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation. The silk hat was actually the bust.
Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of.
Fine, you've got one, but what about the other?
The other contradiction.
Remember what that ventriloquist said in court. He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match.
The clown said that there were
The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like for you to try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick?
Of course, I can explain all of it, actually.
Well, what was that?
These were called the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? They would be facing inward toward the bust. I see. Or that. Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bust.
Order. This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads.
Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. Well, so much for that theory.
Mr. Wright, do you mind?
What is it?
What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that?
Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there is absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster.
I have a different theory.
Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about this relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster.
Acro's motive, huh?
It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel like this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess.
To be continued.